Hello, hello. Okay. So excited to jump in today and go over with you the November Soulcast and Energy Report and really just tune in to what's going to be transpiring for the month of November. And I actually pulled the card earlier because this is my second time trying to film this. But the card I got for November is the Victory and Success card, and it is the number 6. So November is going to be a month that, when I was tuning in earlier, I feel like there's a lot of duality and kind of even polarity. And when there's like, we could say good or bad, right or wrong. I don't like that kind of like way of seeing life, but what I'm really feeling is, in order to have the victory and success we want, we have to move out of duality, really into a space of acceptance, because so much is shifting right now. So much is being let go of, with that Scorpio new moon. It was really this opportune time just to like release and move things. And so we're still in that process. We're still going through, we're in the kind of the portal, if you will, until the Taurus full moon on November 8th. And so with Scorpio, with there being so much to let go of, you're going to get to the success that you want. And this is spiritual success, by the way, in this card. And, he's like blowing his, triumphant horn, like, oh my gosh, we got there. And it's because it's the goals of your heart and your soul. It's not from ego. The ego right now is getting worked. I mean, how many of you right now are having to let go of some operating system or belief that you've been holding on to, that you're kind of having this epiphany that in order to move forward and have what you want in your life, you can't bring that with you. So you may find that there's just so much shifting and moving out of, like, I always feel like, when we, and the reason why I see the duality part of it is because we might want to judge some of the things that are happening right now, especially in the beginning of November, as, oh, this feels good, or this feels bad, or, I don't like the way this feels heavy, or this feels light. And I always think it's good to like have some context for what you're experiencing. But when you're on a bit of a roller coaster with the energy, maybe just go for the ride. Like, really just trust the ride. Trust that, like, whatever's happening, if you can stay in your neutrality, which takes a lot of mindfulness, which takes a lot of self-care, lots and lots of self-care, lots of pauses and stillness and time for reflection. There's a lot of emotions that want to bubble up to the surface. Some being anger. We have Mars retrograde right now through December, I believe, or January, I can't remember. But with the Mars retrograde, Mars is naturally a planet where there's a little more feisty anger and all that kind of stuff. And so instead of making something right or wrong, like, just be with whatever comes up for yourself this month. Like, really allow yourself to feel, and in that, know that that's how you're going to find the most success spiritually. That's how you're going to get to your desired destination, because you're in your capacity to really not only allow, but to embrace and flow with the energy. There is a huge thing right now with the divine feminine. What's a big initiation for a lot of people is that if you go about doing things the way that you used to do it from your masculine, and what I'm talking about is kind of like that force and like, it has to be this way, I have to like control things, you may find that you're going to bump up against like a brick wall. So this month, in order to have this beautiful success and harmony and balance that you really want, imagine being in a receptive mode to receive the brilliant future that you want, which means that you obviously take action, but you're still enough to listen to your intuition, which is your compass guiding you where you want to go. So there's this really, really big opportunity this month, not to only rewire and recalibrate a lot of your nervous system through the stillness and through the presence, but to allow yourself to receive more. For some of you, you're going to receive things that, excite you beyond belief because you're willing to get out of the way. That's the other thing. In our masculine energy, a lot of times we feel like we have to be the ones that produce and create something. And yes, there's that too. But what I'm really feeling right now is a letting go of having to make things work and just trusting that things that are supposed to work, they're going to like come together. And yes, you'll do your part. You still have to show up for life and still have to do the things, but you don't have to like push it so hard, because the divine feminine, although messy at times, that energy wants to come in and you have to surrender to it. You have to surrender to the higher, divine organization of things, of how things are being reorganized in your life so you can get to where you desire. So it feels really good. But the surrender part is so challenging because, let's be real, we all feel a sense of control when we are in this state of like, well, at least me, I'll speak for myself. I used to always take so much action on things, and I have such a strong will that I was like, if I do these things, it makes me feel safe and in control. If I step away a little bit, to me, that was almost like, well, if I don't do my part, if I don't push this along and make this happen, then it's not going to come together. What this energy is asking us to do is to actually do what's necessary, but not force things. To come into your center and really trust your life and your body and where you're being led, and to step into like really divine relaxation. Because when you're more relaxed, then the energy moves and it's just like what needs to be done is going to be handled. So it feels really good. Today, as a matter of fact, we're halfway between the eclipses. Today's actually the exact halfway point. So it's a day to take action, which is really good. Hey, Christina. You notice you're slowing down and being more present, which is amazing. It's amazing. I love that. Let me pull a card for this first week, since we are at this beautiful halfway point. I love November. It's my birth month, and so it always feels like a really special time. And I love it too because of the holiday of Thanksgiving, and it's fun. So let's tap a little bit deeper into the energy, knowing that the bigger theme is how do you have victory and success from the heart, from the soul, not from the ego. Which means you really have to tap into how you want to feel. How do you want to feel this month? How do you want to feel? Okay, so this first week we have financial and material changes. Doesn't surprise me. Scorpio rules the house of death, rebirth, money, sex, shadow work, all that kind of stuff. And this is your card that says stuff is changing. Like, hello, like everything's changing. And it's a 5 card. So it's that transition, and it's the feeling of things may be shifting around, things may be let go of. You may be in a space with your money where money's showing up differently for you. I mean, there's a big money thing right now, right, in the collective. One of my mentors, I love how she said this, and I don't know if it was hers or somebody. She said she heard it from somebody else, but like recess is in, which is so interesting to me, because she says, it was one of her mentors, and my mentor, Yvonne Delafour, I always want to give credit, but she was saying recess is in, because a lot of people, when they hear that, they just don't want to do anything. They get scared and they stop taking action, and they feel like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And it's like, no. More millionaires and billionaires are created during recessions than any other time. Maybe it's a time to be more mindful of your money. But what I'm really noticing is the energy that you have with money, the energy you have with the things in your life. And I've had a lot of conversations this week because I've been in a sales cycle for my business. And, money represents such deep-rooted fears for people. I'm always so mindful, when I'm talking to women, that's who I serve, about their money stories. And it really colors so much of their life. But right now you have this opportunity to do things differently, to really rewrite your money story, to really think about your relationship to the material things in your life, which is kind of an interesting concept, right? Because here in America, at least, everybody's so like into their toys, into their things. But this is more than that. This is more than that. This is goes back to the month card of that spiritual soul success, right? And if you're going to have that, what needs to change in your reality right now? So this is the changes that need to take place. So what needs to die? So maybe your work needs to change. You know, maybe you've been doing something that's soul sucking and you're like, oh God, I got to get out of this. Maybe something, you know, your home needs to be cleansed and purged. I don't know, but it has something to do with the 3D physical reality that is changing, and you're witnessing it this week. You're seeing the exchanges and the collaborations and the things and the commitments that you have also that might need to change, that might be around money, that might be around your resources. And so, you know, with this, I think it's really important. I love to take inventory. One of my favorite things that I love to teach is you don't know where you're going if you're not tracking, right? And so if you're going to think about this card, think about your finances and how that's being managed in your life, your resources, the things that you have, your investments, all the different things. How you make money, how you spend your time around all that kind of stuff, and reassess. And maybe this is the week that you decide that you're going to become more financially responsible to your dreams, to your goals, to what you want to create. Maybe it's the time that you decide it's like, okay, it's time to like sell our house. There's movement this week. There's shifts. And then for your collaborations, where there might be shared resources, I feel like there's a big highlight around that too. Is it fair? If this is a month about soul success, is the resources, is there a balance of give and take, making sure that everything feels like there's a nice, a really good exchange, which goes actually to that neutrality I was seeing before. Of if you can come from a neutral space in life, you can really get a great bird's eye view of if something's working or not. So this energy, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I want to tune into for it. For some reason, when I feel this, I just almost was like, ugh. I could feel it in my, like this corridor between my heart and my neck, like my throat area. And I could feel like a red block. For some of you, it's like a brick. It's like there might not be as much movement because maybe the things that you need to do to change, you're stuck in this area. Like you're not coming from your heart. Like it's too hard for you to come from your heart because you haven't accepted something. You haven't accepted that the change is already here. And then it's time to allow it and to make the changes necessary. Some of you may feel like it's almost like you're trying to stop and resist the change. You don't want the thing to die. You don't want the thing to end. And it's like, my beautiful friends, I'm telling you, like, you got to move that density out of your field because it literally looks like a block right here to your ability to really receive. And I'm not going to go into this because I just did a reel about this the other day, but like if you have a lot of density in your energy field, it's hard to receive the next thing. You know, there's no space to receive. So if there's a tightness that comes over you when I'm talking about letting go, and when you think about the area that might be in your life, in this reality where you need to let go, and you're like, I don't want to, I need that, or like I'm addicted to that because it's my comfort zone, it's my past, it's what I'm used to. Get curious, sit with the energy, observe, ask deep questions, contemplate, because this energy it's not really giving us a chance. It's like, you know, to like hold on when it wants us to let go. And I've had to do, oh my gosh, if I told you my personal stuff right now, which I'm not going into, but like I've had to, like, in order I'm just going to say it like this. In order to get where I want to go right now in my personal life, I have to let go of the way I thought it was going to be so I can open up to the way it's truly going to be. And that has taken me so much work because we all have our preconceived notions. We have this limited, and I say this for everybody, we have limited thinking because it's based on our past and what we know. And sometimes it comes from grievances or resentments. And we're like, no, I don't want to do that with my resources, or no, I don't want to share, or whatever it is that we're working on or letting go of. And for me personally, I had to realize like, oh my God, I have to see this from a totally different angle if I want to get where I'm going. Had to like move out of my own way. And it's been it's been a beautifully challenging lesson. But when I do that, when I get out of the way and I surrender and I allow the change, it's pretty incredible what moves in the quantum field, because then you're not resisting life. When you're resisting and you have this kind of block, because your throat chakra is like your new expression, like what wants to be birthed, like not birthed, but like, because that's more like your sacral, but it's like something, the new iteration of you from your heart wants to come through, and it comes through your expression, through your voice, through, what you write, who you are, what you speak. But that can't happen if you're still holding on to the past and the old ways of doing things. This energy is asking for us to be rebirthed. It's the Phoenix rising for Scorpio. That's the energy of Scorpio. It's so freaking powerful if we let it be. And we have to be with our emotions. We have to, for some of us, like I know for me, it's like, I'm feeling all the feels because there's a lot in the letting go. There's a lot of grieving sometimes. So that's for the first week. But the good news, let it go. Like Christina said, let it go, let it flow, yo. Yep, that's right. Let it go, let it flow, because that's exactly what happens. Okay, so now we're going to move into the week of the 7th. And let's see what's going on for that. Oh, yay. I love this card so much. It's the Foundation and Achievements card. This card is, it's so funny because I know, other astrology reports might say otherwise, but I'm channeling straight from the soul, baby. So this is a card about peace and prosperity. This is about your family, your home, like what's important to you. So it feels like you're letting go this week, and then next week you get really like something grounds in. And we have the Taurus. Oh my God, it's so perfect, right? Think about the Taurus full moon. Taurus is all the creature comforts, the home, the aesthetics, the beauty, the love. It's ruled by Venus, right? It's like everything that's like, isn't it ruled by Venus? I think so. Just like the loving, energy. And so with Taurus, we're coming to a culmination, and it's the second eclipse. So there's going to be changes and shifts. And for some, all of us are going to go through that. But it's different for everybody how it's going to land. But for this card in particular, this just feels like, what is home? And who are the people that make my life so incredibly special? So that's the question to you. Who in your life that makes things so incredibly special? And how can you, if you're willing to be more open to life and to the experience that love wants to have with you, because love starts from within ourselves, and then we have it reflected by the people in our lives, right? So what kind of experience does love want to have with you? So home, number one, within yourself, and then home number two, which is your real home, and the people that occupy your heart. I think next week, I feel like something, I don't know why, but I saw a stamp on something, like maybe something gets agreed upon, something gets stamped, maybe things move forward for someone in your family. There's just this sense, and usually I don't give like kind of specific things like that. Like I say more of like an overall theme from a soul perspective, but this one feels like something that you have been working towards, you know, the light that shines in. It's almost like the reflective light in a beautiful church with stained glass windows, and the refractor, you know, the light that comes in. It's just so beautiful. So there's something very gorgeous about this week and the moments. It may not be the whole week where you're like, oh yeah, I have so much peace and prosperity, but it's like those moments that you grab and you feel that peace and prosperity, because there's a lot of intensity to this month energetically. There's a lot of shifting, which can cause people to feel very off. But if you stay as much as you can in your neutrality, which is such a mindfulness exercise, and in your self-care, then the moments that you have this like peace and notice the prosperity that's brewing in your life, you're going to feel more full. You're going to feel so good. And you know, it's interesting because that first card for November is spiritual success, right? So this is another spiritual card in this deck. And 4 is all about what grounds us, what like really makes us feel, it's the foundation of our life. And this is a foundation card. So you will be paying a lot of attention to the people that make up your home, your life, your most special people, and how all of that is transitioning in some ways. I see it not like not like who's there is going to be gone, but you might be noticing some changes that are going to bring you to peace and prosperity. It's like, it may not be just exactly perfect next week, but it's like the things that you've been working on, the things that you're kind of like trying, maybe like you've been, you know, for some of the parents out there, maybe you've been working on some things with your kids and like you see like that it starts to stick, you know, or maybe you're in a relationship and you notice that you're turning a corner, you know, there's momentum and it feels like, oh my gosh, like we're getting so much closer to that foundation that than we have been in quite a while, or if ever, because it might be something more new. So it feels so good. And I want you to grasp those little sweet moments in time. It feels like a butterfly. And I'm going to give you this metaphor. I heard this in a meditation on Insight Timer, so this is not mine, but I just loved it. I listened to it really early in the morning one day, and the guy in the meditation said, you're in a meadow and there's all these gorgeous butterflies, and you could go chasing the butterflies, like trying to get the butterflies because they're so beautiful and you want to like grasp them and have them. But he's like, if you just sit still in the middle of the meadow and you let the butterfly come to you, let the peace and the prosperity, like this is what I'm talking about this month. Don't go forcing or pushing it. Notice and allow it to come to you. Be in the energy. And it starts with being it within yourself. How can you cultivate peace within yourself through your self-care routine so you could see it in your external world? You may be the person in your family, by the way, that is the one that is the foundation for the peace and prosperity. And prosperity doesn't have to be money, but it's like the joy. It's all the good things that you want to bring in. Maybe you're the set point for that. Maybe you're the one that helps with that. So this card feels really delightful and beautiful, and like there's a lot of forward momentum, and you are going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and there feels like something might shift or be agreed upon, because I keep seeing a stamp, you know, like if something's like signed off on and they stamp it or something. I keep seeing that too. For some of you, that's a very specific message. But it's really cool. Okay. And also, oh my God, that week is 11/11. I freaking love 11/11. I always see those numbers, 111, 11/11. That code, that specific code is about doorways of opportunity opening up for you. So on 11/11, and it goes so beautifully, like what is spiritual success from your soul? And how can you plant the foundation for it this next week with that beautiful card, a foundation and achievement? So 11/11, what are you manifesting? And you can manifest things, right? But it already feels like there's a very spiritual vibe to this month. So instead of things, focus on how you want to feel, and then the things come. If you study futuring. You know, you don't have to worry, you know, you have an idea of what you want, but the highest timeline always comes if you're in your highest frequency. So there's that. Okay, so for the 14th, let's see what comes through for the 14th. I cannot believe this. Something's going on. All these other reports out there are like gloom and doom in some ways. This one's like they're really wanting a very like light energy for some reason to be channeled through, because maybe people need more support in that way, because we're going through a huge shift and transformation with all this eclipse season and all the other astrology, you know, and yeah, it's exciting. So anyways, fulfillment of wishes, and this is a 9 card. So you're coming from that place of spiritual success and fulfillment, right? And then you're just had the week before, and now you're coming into this. And this card is very simple to me. This is like, if you continue to stay in your heart, you know, you got really clear the week before on who are your people, what's your foundation, what's your home within yourself, what do you love? And then this is like, okay, take it a step further and manifest from that place. Get really clear. What are the dreams of my life that I want to see come to fruition? I love this card so much because it's always about open your arms wide to receive. And this is all about your worthiness and what you think that you're allowed to. You know, it's interesting to me. I deeply study futuring, deeply. And I've been studying it for 2 years, like certified, you know, studying it, not like just manifestation, but futuring. And it's fascinating how easily one gives up when it comes to manifestation, because their doubts and fears kick in. What I mean by that, let's say you want something and you're like, I want it. And then like one thing in your reality or 2 things happen that kind of make you feel like you're getting detoured off path. And a lot of people then go into the ego kicks in, the subconscious, and it's like, oh, I'm never going to have that because, and then their story about the negative story then takes over, and then they shift their frequency, and then things don't happen the way they want because they believed that the external events were more important than their frequency. And it's a tough thing because when it comes to reality creation, your frequency is what dominates. But you got to be a badass at it. And you got to like really just be like, okay, that thing happened, but I'm still going here. So I'm going to focus on here and not all these ups and downs all the way. You know, I've talked about this so much in different reels that I've done. The key for this, to open your arms wide to receive, is obviously feel how worthy and abundant you are. There is nothing that you have to do to be able to be, you know, you are born worthy. Don't ignore the resistance, because it was what I was saying earlier, is if there's something that you're resisting, that will block your manifestation too. So we get to be very whole when it comes to manifesting. And if you say you want something this week, you know, you're going to be really planting the seeds and having things come true. This is a fantastic, beautiful week for some of your manifestations to materialize, because you've been doing the work of letting go and letting things move away. So now new things get to come in. Hold and sustain the frequency of what you desire. It's just so important. Trust that it's coming. Have faith. Get excited. I feel like for some people, I almost want to start dancing. I feel like for some people this week is going to be like, woo, you know, like things are so good. Like, oh my gosh. Even though, this is the other thing. Can you hold opposing, like paradoxical energies in your life? Yes, you can. Because who are we freaking kidding? Life isn't always good. You may have something amazing happening, and then on the other hand, something stressful could be going on. when you learn how to have the capacity to hold it all, you realize amazing stuff is happening and you can still manage some of the difficulties. That's inner resiliency, right? And that's what we've been working on cultivating as a, well, I know this tribe, well, am I even allowed to say that word anymore? This collective is working on that. Not everybody in the planetary collective is there yet. But the thing is being able to hold all of the different frequencies so you can have that which you desire, so you can really receive. So this feels like a beautiful week to have the, that fulfillment of your wishes. So get clear, write down what you want. Because if you've gone through kind of a letting go process, I would love for you to take some time just to get reconnected, take an inventory of where you want to go and what you're calling in and what's important to you. I think that's really important with this card because this is a 9 card. So it's a completion of something. It's a completion. So for you, the thing that may be coming is the completion of something, which feels really powerful, really, really powerful. I'd love to see a completion with something specifically in my life. I was like, ooh, sometimes I hear myself channeling. I'm like, oh, I love that myself. Okay, so 21st, we have a lot of energy happening the week of the 21st. There's the 23rd eclipse season finally completes. The 24th, Jupiter moves direct with the new moon, and then I can't even read my own writing. September 26th, there's a stag stellium. Woohoo! That's a Sagittarius baby. We are going to be the last week for any Sagittarius's sun's rising. You are going to feel there's going to be some incredible energy coming in for the last, starting on the 26th, because, and even when the new moon hits, that must be what that is. The 24th, it must be the new moon for Sagittarius. Big energy, baby. I love it. So let's see, 21st. What's the card? Oh, and the 26th is my birthday. So I was like, oh wait, the Sag Stellium's on my actual birthday. Hell yeah. I'm so excited. Whew. I don't know why I said, I always get nervous. It's like with birthdays, it's like I'm going in the wrong direction. I wanted to push pause for like when I turned 40, I was like, let's just push pause on the birthdays. But for some reason, it's not letting me do that. I don't know why. Hell, if I had to get to this point in my life to have the joy, and my life is very paradoxical right now in certain ways of different things I'm holding, but to have the level of joy that I have right now, that age is worth it, right? That wisdom, that experience that makes us feel full and rich in lots of different ways is worth it. Okay, so 21st, spiritual strength. Spiritual strength. God, we are getting so many, like, the spiritual cards. Another 9 card. It's a completion. There's a lot of, like, I hate the word ending sometimes, but it, wrapping things up, being done with something, letting go of something, seeing it through. This card, you see this guy's like, self-care, meditating, but then he's like holding up this wall. And it's because, like the ceiling, it's because energetically we're holding a lot. And it's so funny because I was just talking about holding a frequency, right? Sustaining. And this energy feels like you have to believe and have the confidence. This is coming from your solar plexus. It's interesting. I see the root chakra too. To finish things, to see things through with this. It might feel like it's the final, like a final push on a project, final push on something specifically that you're working on, a big conversation, something that wraps things up and brings things to completion. Yeah, Christina, right? Lots of completion. And I kind of feel like you know, crazily enough, this is Thanksgiving week too. I have a feeling that energetically there's a lot going on in the collective this week. This feels like it's like your self-care that you have to do to maintain and stay in your joy, to stay in your lane, to wrap something up, to wrap up this season, of Thanksgiving. To wrap up the, like kind of like all the lessons that you learned from the eclipse season. It feels like it's the final countdown. Yeah, I love it, Christina. Yeah, it feels like you got to stay in your center. Like, don't let anybody knock you off your center. And being that we're going to be with, families and all that jazz, that could always have something to do with it. But this one, it's so strange. I'm not getting a lot of intel for this specific week when it comes to this card. It feels like it's a little mysterious of what is that thing that everybody's going to have to like have in their center, like, I'm not saying it's anything bad. It's just, it's a very open-ended energy, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, for everybody, it's going to be very different. Because it's kind of like, the way I'm going to say it is like, you've let go of so much, and this is a completion card. So it's like a stabilization. That's what it feels like. It's like, I'm stabilizing. I'm staying strong in the energy because I'm in between. This is the thing. This is the mystery. Now I get it. When you're leaving ways of doing things and coming to completion, it's not like the new thing or new life or new things like starting that next second, right? It takes time to stabilize all the changes and all the beautiful things that are happening, and the whatever endings or completions or whatever you've let go of, whatever new part of you or new part of your reality is materializing, is coming through for you. It's going to take a hot minute to find your new center, find your strength around like this new identity, this new way of being, this radically new energy that wants to just like, there's so much, I just feel so much grace in my heart right now for like what's coming through. And I feel so much power. For some of you, it's going to feel so powerful. You're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe like I shifted this thing. I did it. And it feels so good. And I get to celebrate, and I get to find my new center, and I get to stabilize and start to integrate this beautiful energy. So this all can come into like, it's almost like you're like, whew. It also feels like, last but not least, I want to say this part. It feels like a symphony. And if somebody plays out of, if they don't play their part correctly, and it's not a symphony per se, it's a metaphor for frequencies. And it's like all these like divergent different sounds, but that represents your energy. It's almost like there was it feels like everything's been so freaking messy, and everything's been like so all over the place, and there's been like a little bit of an intensity internally for a lot of us. And this week with this card and finding your center, it feels like all of a sudden you hear the music, the song comes on, and you're like it like all of that, it all makes sense. And you're like, oh my God, that's why I had to go through all of this. That's why this is happening. Like, oh my God. And something beautiful, like music comes from it, like it's not all like a big mess anymore. It's like, oh yeah. I love that message. That's really beautiful. It's not for me. I'm not saying it like I'm braggadocious. I'm saying it because I'm hearing it as I say it, and I'm like, as I'm channeling, and I'm like, oh, that's really beautiful because I can hear it. Okay, so there's that. And then last but not least, the 28th. What do we got for the last week? Okay, let's see. Well, we have one card that's kind of like conflict and defeat. So the last week, I'm just writing this down. It's a 5 card. You've gone through a lot of change, right? Like there's a lot of beautiful things that you're receiving this month. There's a lot of like completions we've talked about. There's a lot of like grounding in and strengthening. And this feels like a newborn baby when the newborn baby is like, not a baby, I'm sorry, it's a toddler. when a toddler is learning to walk. And they're like destabilized still a little bit. And they're like, they get up, and then they fall. Then they go for a few more steps. They get up, go for a little bit, and they, fall. And so it takes time when you're in a new energy, when you're moving towards the new, to stabilize. And so if you fall a little bit, if you feel like you kind of revert to some old behaviors or something like that, it's okay. Get back up again. I was talking recently, Napoleon Hill has this book called 17 Laws of Success, and he was talking about temporal defeat. And it's when you are doing something in life, and let's say you feel like it didn't work out the way that you want. And so you admit temporal defeat. And what temporal defeat does is it's like you realize that, okay, it's like you come into acceptance that like, oh, this thing isn't working out for a hot minute. And you get really curious, why isn't it working out? But what it does by just admitting some defeat is it kind of neutralizes the energy, which sounds really weird, right? But if you're holding on to something and you're resisting something, you're like, why isn't this working? And oh my God, I'm supposed to be able to if I'm learning to walk and I'm supposed to be able to run. And why am I not running as fast as I want with this? I was like, because you're still stabilizing. And if you could just be like, yeah, I fell. Okay. I'm going to get back up. I had a momentary, kind of temporal defeat. And that way, if it's something really big in your life that you're like working on, you could look at it and go, what is this protecting me from? Or how is this redirecting me? What is this showing me? What is this allowing me to move into? How can I do this differently? So it's not necessarily, like the whole point of it is it's not necessarily a defeat. It's just letting go, right? It goes back to the same thing, but it's more letting go of like the fact that you didn't do something perfect. Like this is not a time for perfection when you're learning to like stabilize new energy. It's a time to just like, to have a lot of compassion, but to still show up for your life. So it feels like this last week, we're feeling the shifts and the changes. We're in the energy, and you're still grounding it in. You're still figuring out like all these beautiful things that have happened. You're still in the new. You're still a little bit in the mystery, and you're going to be for a while. I feel like towards going into December, it's still going to be a big theme. It's not going to like all of a sudden, boom, go away, and you're like, okay. Because some of these things that you've been working on are really big things. Like I know one of the things like I was saying I was working on is something that has to do with how I operate. As it's me all these years of my life, how I've operated. And all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks, I was like, I can't keep doing that. Like that's not healthy for me to operate from that way. And so I had to retire. And then I'm like, well, what does it look like to shift this? What is this going to mean for me? How's this going to, in all aspects of your life? Because one way you show up, and if you have a certain operating systems, it's not just for your business, it's for everything. And so you get to kind of give yourself a chance to rewire, recalibrate, and show up stronger. So don't let the last week of November, like if you find yourself falling, get right back up and be like, this is good. I'm changing. This means I'm in the energy. I'm in the arena, and I'm willing to show up for my life and do the things necessary to have all of this integrate. It feels like a really good month. I know there's a lot of intensity, but hell, honestly, when is there not intensity? I'm so tired of like the astrology being like, oh my God, buckle up. It's going to be crazy. And it's like, it's as crazy as some things are bigger, so you might have some personal transits in your chart, but if you're not working with the Chani app, that's my favorite app. I swear to God, I wish I get like a commission from it. It's like so awesome because it shows you your transits personally that might be happening so that you can, have a better understanding sometimes. But use it with a grain of salt. Don't make it like a reality where you're like, oh my God, because my Pluto's transiting this or something, that means it's going to be this hard or whatever. It's like, no, like like anything, it's just a theme. Just like this is just a theme. It's a theme that you get to work with, that you can kind of like tangibly have something that for that, specific week you could be looking for. So anyways, I hope it helps. I hope you have a great November. And I'll see you on the flip side. I'll see you for next month, last month of the year, Soulcast. Really quick, I have a amazing relationship course that's going to be coming out soon with Erica Angelo. We are going to be co-facilitating this, and it's called Becoming, and it's about first your relationship with yourself so you can attract in your most amazing partner. I'm super excited. And then I'm going to be teaching a futuring course towards the end of, we're going to be starting that towards the end of the year, going into January. Ricky Lyman, my boyfriend, and I are going to be leading that, and that's going to be an amazing course too. So fun things in the mix. I'm super excited. Sending you guys so much love, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.